Hi everyone, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. So, I've got to fill you in on a little bit of detail before we go any further. Poor old Gary has had a right old accident. So, haven't you, Bab?
I did. I slipped I slipped on the side of the pool and fell in the pool. But luckily I fell in the pool because I took some of the brunt of the fall. But I have knacked my leg.
He's done your ankle in as well, haven't you?
Sprained my ankle. I think I've damaged the calf muscle on my knee and my hip.
Yeah, so poor old Gary, he's feeling a bit crook. So he's not going to be here for the whole of this video today, but I've got another man coming in later.
my surrogate.
So stay tuned to see who that is. Right, so today's topic, it's not very van lifey, is it?
No.
Today we're going to talk about how to buy a house in Spain. So for those of you who are new to the channel, we've recently bought a house in Spain. We've been spending the last 18 months or so travelling in our motorhome full time. We took it to the States and Canada, and we've been travelling Europe before buying our house in Spain. Okay, so without further ado, let's get on to those questions that we've been sent in about buying a house in Spain. Number one, why did you choose Spain? Well, that's quite simple really for us, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I think for us there were three main reasons. Firstly, it was the climate, the weather. Mm-hmm. Secondly, it was distance from our family, so it's not too far away. Mm-hmm. And third, it was value for money.
Yeah, finances. We didn't have a massive budget, and the money did go a bit further than it would have gone in the UK. So, to be honest, that was a really big factor for us. We considered other countries. We considered Cyprus, but we kind of thought, first of all, it's an island, so we would have to fly in order to be able to go and visit anyone. We couldn't just have the motorhome there.
No.
So that kind of ruled out Cyprus, even though we really love it. We also thought about France, didn't we?
We did.
And for a crazy moment, we thought about buying a campsite. I don't know what we're thinking.
We did at one point, didn't we? Came very
Way
close.
too much hard work. I don't know what we were thinking. Anyway, we didn't end up buying a campsite, and this isn't a campsite either. Although sometimes I fleet with the idea, should we make it one? But Gary gets me to stop fleeting about it very quickly, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
So we decided on Spain because it was nice and easy for the kids to get to, and for us to get back to the UK as well to see everybody, see all the family.
And it's a good central point for us to go and do more travels around Europe in the month.
So let's get on with the questions. And I've tried to put everything in a bit of a logical order. So one of the next questions is where did you find your property? How did you search for your property? Well, we've been searching for quite a while, haven't we, to be honest?
Quite a few years.
Yeah, and I'm always searching for property. I don't know if anyone else is the same. Oh, that's cheaper than what I paid. Oh, God, what have I paid? You know, you can't help it.
Even when we had a house in Spain, we were looking for a house in Spain.
Yeah, we did. Because, in fact, we have actually bought and sold. We've bought and sold once, and we bought twice. So we had a small house that we bought in Granada previously, and it just wasn't the right property for us, was it? So we sold that a couple of years ago before we went travelling, and we had never lived in it full time anyway. It was just somewhere that we kind of had as a holiday home to start off with, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So we have been through the process twice. Not that we're experts, and you know, I do caveat everything with this is our experience. So where do you find stuff? Well, there's quite a few sort of property portals, isn't there?
Yes, so we've ostensibly looked on Think Spain.
Yeah, Think Spain's been quite good.
Yeah, we've got A Place in the Sun.
A Place in the Sun, we use that quite a lot, don't we? And you'll know it from the TV show. There is also a property portal that you can use there. And they have a currency converting place as well, don't they?
Which has been really useful for us. We also looked on a website called Kyero. That's Kyero.
Yeah, Kyero is, we think, isn't it? So we've used those, and also then we've looked and seen if we can find any other property estate agents
in the local
area. So that's what we do. So what I tend to do is, if I'm interested in an area in particular, I'll zoom in on Google search and search for estate agent, and very often it'll pop people up, websites. Looking on Facebook helps. It really rather depends where you are looking. But if you are an estate agent and you want to put your details in, put them in the comments below so people can find you. But please remember to say which area that you cover. Oh, as promised, I've got another man in the house.
Hiya.
This is Mario, and he was our property lawyer when we bought this house. And he's from, can you name your company for me, Mario?
Yes, I'm from Águilas Integra Consultores.
Okay, so I couldn't really say that. That's why I got Mario to say. And for us Brits, we'd probably be looking at Aguilas Integra Consultants.
Definitely.
That's what we would be thinking it's called.
That's the exact pronunciation.
Yeah. So Mario helped us out, and we're going to go through a lot of the things that you really need to think about if you're buying a property in Spain. So we've just talked about where you can find property, but both Mario and I were just talking a second ago about the really important element of actually coming to see a property in person.
Yes.
Because a lot of people, they buy online, don't they? And then they're quite disappointed when they come and see it in real life.
Yes, so in some cases, people buy or decide they fall in love with the house, obviously because of the pictures, and some of them buy it as it is from the pictures.
Wow.
So we highly recommend to see the house before, in person, to see exactly how it feels, to see the neighbors, how is the area, some possible damages to the walls, damp, cracks, stuff like that.
Things that you don't see in a photo. And I've looked at quite a lot of property in the past, and I can honestly tell you, sometimes you'll turn up and you're like, is this the same house? It looks a little bit, do you know what I mean? And then sometimes you're pleasantly surprised, because sometimes the photos don't do a place justice. So once you've found that dream home and you're thinking, right, what do I do next? First thing you're going to want to do is find yourself a property lawyer. Now, we were quite lucky because we were searching at the time, and our estate agent that we worked with had suggested Mario's firm as someone we might consider. And what I did was I did my due diligence. And what you've got to do is you've got to get online, see that they've got a good Google presence or something, see if you can find any good reviews. Now, you guys had a lot of 5-star reviews, so that really kind of put my mind at ease. And also they offered a free consultation, didn't you? And many lawyers will. They'll offer you that very first half an hour to come and talk about what you need for free.
Yeah, about all the steps to follow. What we normally do is we ask our clients what area are they buying, if they have any documents of the house they decided to buy, we have a look, we discuss then about the whole process, about the steps they have to follow, and what buying a property in Spain involves. Obviously, it's different when you buy an apartment rather than a bigger house, a country house. So it basically is personalized to each of our clients.
Now, the first thing you end up having to do is, if you found the dream property, is put down 3,000 euros. That's the usual price, isn't it? And effectively, that's a reservation fee, right?
Yes, it's a reservation fee. So the estate agent would block, let's say, the property, reserve it for you, and to avoid the seller selling it to a different person.
It can be quite intimidating when you've got to pay 3,000, but it is normal. But even though that it's normal, I think it's really important to double check with your lawyer that you're paying it to somebody that you should be paying it to.
Yes. So normally the reservation goes to the estate agent's account. So let's say it's separate in case anything happens and the money needs to be refunded. It's separate from the seller's account. If you send it directly to the seller's account, there might be a situation where they might not want to send the money back, to give you back the money. So usually the estate agent holds the money until the completion is signed, and then from his invoice he deducts that price.
Money.
If meanwhile us, for example, investigate the house and the legal situation, and if it has debt or not, if the house isn't legal or isn't in a good situation to be sold to our client, we inform our client, and usually the agent gives you back the money, refunds. So normally you might not get the money back in case you change your mind, obviously.
Yeah. So there are circumstances when you can get the 3,000 back. It seems quite concerning when they say they can keep the 3,000 if you change your mind. But that's why you need to be 100% sure that you know what you're doing when you're buying a property.
Yes.
You see it in person before you put 3,000 euros down on
Definitely.
the property. So once you've paid the £3,000, what happens then? What do you guys do then, Mario?
We normally contact the seller's solicitor.
Yeah.
And we exchange documents.
Yeah.
We receive all the paperwork, the house paperwork, the seller's paperwork, and we investigate the situation of the house. We make sure that whatever says on the papers corresponds to the reality.
Yeah.
And we make sure that everything is up to date with the payments, the taxes, and
there's no outstanding mortgages and loans on that property, I assume.
Yes. If there are outstanding mortgages against the property, normally they are cancelled when the completion is signed.
Oh, okay. So there are ways around that sort of thing.
Yes.
And how long does this process normally take? If it's a simple sale, it can be quite quick, can't it?
Yes. Depends on many factors. First, depends if the buyer is a cash buyer.
Right.
If we have a mortgage involved.
Yeah.
If the buyer applies for a mortgage, it takes, I would say, 2 to 3 months.
Right. Okay.
So it depends on the client's situation, financial situation, to have the mortgage approved. So I would say 3 months, definitely. If it's a cash buyer, then the next thing is if it's an apartment or if it's a big house, a country house with a plot. So the investigation is thorough when we talk about a country house rather than an apartment. If it's an apartment, I would say, and if it's cash, obviously, 2 to 3 weeks.
Wow, 2 to 3 weeks, really? I suppose because you don't have to worry about is certain buildings, have they been registered and that kind of thing. Is it on rural land? Those kind of aspects.
Yes. So when it comes to a rural land or a rural property, we have to make sure first if they had planning permission.
Right.
If they didn't have, we need to check if everything is okay. If the town hall has a sanctioning report against the house.
Yeah.
So if there is a sanctioning report against the construction, then this changes a lot of things. We need to see if we can legalize that or not.
Yeah.
And obviously we need to make sure that the client doesn't buy a house that in a couple of months will be demolished.
Yeah, because actually there's been a few Brits that have bought in Spain and they have had their properties demolished in the past. So I know people are very concerned about buying properties that aren't legal. What types of land are there that you can buy on? Because there's urban land, isn't there?
Yes.
Which is completely fine usually for buying, isn't it?
Yes, the urban land, it's easy to get planning permission to build. Depends on the square surface, on how big the plot is. You have a certain limit of construction.
Okay.
So let's say that's easy. You need the planning permission. After the construction is finished, an architect needs to sign the end of construction, and with the end of construction and obviously other documents, the town hall issues a first habitation license. So that means the house is ready to be lived in, and you can set up the utilities, water, electricity, and everything. When it's a rural land, depending on the area, you need a minimum amount of land. So you, in order to build a property. Where we are, for example, you need a minimum 5,000 square meters.
Yeah.
And that's for, I would say, 300 square meters of building, of construction. Yes.
Yeah. But some of the areas, I know the area that's quite close to where we bought, they need 20,000 square meters of land, don't they, in order to have the same amount of build.
Each town hall, let's say, decides the minimum, and it depends a lot on if the area is near a reserved area, if it's a mountain area, which some places are natural reserves, so you can't build anything there.
Okay. I mean, this is quite important to know, and every region is different. So you're going to have different town halls with different regulations. So there is no one size fits all when it comes to buying in Spain at all, is there? There are some town halls that are probably a lot more progressive than others in that they understand that some houses have potentially been built without planning permission, but they've given retrospective planning permission, haven't they?
It's a different, like a similar planning permission or similar to first habitation license.
Yeah.
But when we talk in the area, for example, we have houses that have been built hundreds of years ago.
Yeah.
People have restored them. So obviously for those houses, no one had or could apply for planning permission.
Of course, because it wasn't a thing back then.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense actually, Murray, yeah.
So what people usually do is they get a certificate from the town hall. Unless the town hall already knows or has knowledge about that house being built there, and it's sort of, let's say, legalized. You can have the utilities installed, if they're not already set up, and you pay your taxes, you are good to go.
So we talked about the whole property process, but it's not just that then, is it? So you've got to do some other bits and pieces before you buy a property in Spain. So first things you're going to need is what's called an N.I.E, isn't it?
N.I.E number, which is basically your tax identification number, as a foreign identification number. It's
and they want it for everything, Mario. Honestly, every Amazon guy wants my N.I.E number. You know, I was going to say every Amazon guy wants my number, but they don't. I don't. Thank God. But
you have a killer husband there.
I've got a killer husband.
With a rifle.
Poor old Gary, he's got his crutches there, isn't he? You know.
Not in the mood for jokes.
He's not in the mood for any jokes at the moment. He's really dour today. Bless him. So, so going back to what we were talking about, you need your N.I.E.
Yes.
So the N.I.E, how long does that take to get? Because you guys got Gary's for us, didn't you? And any good lawyer, property lawyer, will go and get your N.I.E for you and sort it out. And I know you did it for us. I already had one from when I bought a property, but Gary didn't have one. But that was quite a quick process, wasn't it?
It depends on the appointment. Basically, you have to make an appointment on the police website, and just wait. Let's say, especially now in the summer, the appointments are very rare.
Busy.
So you can't get an appointment for next week. Let's say maybe in 2 to 3 weeks time, but it's a quite quick process.
Right. And so what we did to make our life a little bit easier is we gave power of attorney to you. And that worked out really well for us because we were travelling at the time with the motorhome, and once Mario had power of attorney, you were able to act on our behalf.
Yes.
And you even opened a bank account for us, didn't you? Because is that something you actually have to have, a Spanish bank account to buy the property, or not?
Not necessarily.
Right.
We recommend having a Spanish bank account for the utilities, direct debits. When we make the payment of the house, for us, the safest way of paying the rest of the money for the house is through a bank draft. So if you don't have a bank account, a Spanish bank account, you can't issue, or you can't have a bank draft issued.
No.
The thing is, you can always make a transfer, and it can be paid by transfer to the seller. But you never know, if anything happens and you can't sign that day, you've basically not lost the money, but you're not in control of your money. There are different options for people who don't want to open a bank account in Spain. Either send it to your solicitor's account, but that requires a trust level, obviously higher, and we don't do that with our clients because we are just at the beginning with them. So it might put them into an awkward situation. So the best thing is send it to your Spanish account, we use a bank draft, we pay if we sign the completion. If we don't sign the completion, we're in control of the money until the very last moment.
Yeah, which does make sense. And I've got to say, it has been really good to have a Spanish bank account for us, and we were really glad that you opened this particular account for us, because it ended up being better. Now, I'm not selling anything in here. I'm not getting a kickback here, so this is just my personal experience, and I've had a very good experience with these guys and with our bank. So we're with the Caja Rural,
yes,
isn't
Caja Rural.
See, my
as
pronunciation.
A British person would pronounce it.
Caja Rural.
Caja Rural.
God, it sounds like you're going to catch something, doesn't it? Yeah, we use the Caja Rural, and we're very happy with it. We've got a good deal with the bank and everything, and they've been brilliant. Speak perfect English as well, so
yes.
We've been really lucky there. And that makes quite a bit of difference. Now let's talk a little bit about percentages on top of what you're going to pay. Because what people don't realise, when you see a price on a Spanish house, it's not the only price you're going to pay.
No.
So the percentage of tax is going to vary depending on the area you're in, isn't
yes.
it? So we're looking at, so Murcia itself, we pay 8% tax. And Andalusia is about 7%. But Valencia is more like 10-11%, isn't it?
Yes, each region has a different tax percent.
Yeah.
And it differs on many cases. Depends if the house you buy will be your main home or not, main residence. In some cases you might get, for example in Andalusia area, you might get 1% let's say discount if that will be your main residence, and on top of that you need to fulfill some other criteria, but in Murcia it's 8%.
Yeah, and so not just your lawyer's fees and you're paying for your N.I.E. and various bits and pieces that happen, because there's lots of other little bits that you have to pay for as you go along. So really, you've got to be thinking about having between 10 and 12%. Would you say that's a good estimation?
I would say 12%.
Yeah.
Because not only pays for the solicitors' food and drinks.
Poor sod's only had water so far.
You have to pay the N.I.E. fees. If you have to open a bank account, you need to put some money in the bank account. Once the completion is signed and the utilities are set up, you need to pay connection fees or not. So they add up.
Yeah, and it's always, and if you don't use it all, it's money in the bank, isn't it? Effectively, it's your money anyway.
Yeah,
so it's like sofa money, as we were saying, or whatever. You're going to need a sofa if you did what we did and had really rubbish storage. But in general, you're always going to want to buy something. So once you've got a new house, whether you're going to get a new set of curtains or whether you need a whole new house, I don't know. But you're always going to want a few quid in the bank.
Yes. So basically, whatever we use, when we pay, once we draw the line and have like a completion statement, we refund to our client whatever money or whatever credit is on their behalf, or if we were short, which basically never happens.
Oh, thank God for that, because we're not does yet. So I'm buttering them up now, like let's batter Mario up for our completion statement.
Yes, if we are short, some invoices don't depend on us, so we don't know exactly how much the notary or the land
exactly. There's lots of little bits and pieces.
Yeah.
But in our experience, it's really important to find someone that you trust and that you can work with, because you can just relax then. That's what we found. The power of attorney situation worked really well for us. But when I did buy previously, I didn't give power of attorney because I didn't need to. I was there for the completion day. I was able to transact everything as it happened. But this worked out much better for us. So let's imagine you've bought this house. It's fabulous. It's gone through. What are the costs associated with buying a house in Spain after that? Now, you're going to have to pay tax whether you're a resident or a non-resident, aren't you?
So when you are non-resident, you must pay an annual tax.
Yeah.
We call it non-resident tax, owner's tax.
Yeah.
So that means every year you have to submit your 210 non-resident tax form.
Yeah.
and the tax is calculated on some different factors. Usually it differs from one house to the other one. It differs from the square meters. We go again to the surface of the house and the value that it's being given by the cadastral office.
Right.
So the tax office applies some percentages on that value. So when we calculate it, it's either 19% if you are EU resident, let's say, or 24% if Brexit you're not.
Oh gosh, we better not go down the B route. But you know, I know that is a nightmare for a lot of people, the Brexit situation. But you've got to have a reality look on this, haven't you?
Yes.
Now, when you say it's 24%, it's not actually scarily high though to pay your annual tax, is it? It's usually, am I right in thinking it's usually between sort of it varies from a few hundred to a couple of thousand a year?
It doesn't get to a couple of thousand unless the cadastral value of the house is very, very high.
Right, okay. So, and in which case you've probably got quite a bit of money. Yeah, and you're not going to be worried.
Definitely.
But it's a few hundred usually a year.
Yes.
Plus the cost of your tax return.
So, yes, basically, it's a few hundred euros. And this is only, let's say, if you use the house as your own. If you rent the house, then it's a different tax. You have to submit the rental income tax.
The income tax. So, so that's a completely different type of. That's an earning tax.
Yes.
So in which case, I think what's the percentage? It's about 20% up to something, isn't it? Well, I don't even know what the tax rates are, to be honest.
It's similar to the non-resident tax as owner. So Brexit people, or people who, apart from British people,
third country we call it, don't we?
Yes.
Third country.
It's 24%.
24.
And the EU countries is 19% of the net amount.
Of the net amount. And is there a certain amount you can earn before it goes up? Like in UK, it's 20%, and then it can increase once it's over a certain amount of money.
No, it's that percentage on the income you received from the rental. It doesn't increase.
Okay, well that's interesting. So if a British person buys a property in Spain with the intention that they want to rent it out, can they still do that then? Because they're earning an income, as long as they declare the money that they've earned and pay the taxes earned via that.
Yeah, we have lots of British clients
Yeah.
who bought the house.
Mm-hmm.
They bought their house and they use it, for example, for 9 months a year.
Okay.
And the summer months, which is hell on earth, is hot for them.
Yeah.
They
it's boiling.
They go back to the UK and they rent it. So they earn a couple of €1,000 to pay for the annual expenses.
It actually makes sense. And do you know what? Funny, we had a conversation, Gary and I, and I'll let you into our little conversations. We were thinking about, if we wanted to go away, would we rent our house out? So now I have an Irish passport, so if we went down that route and we wanted to rent the house out for a couple of months a year, would I then pay as a resident, would I then pay 19% tax then on anything I earned?
Once, it depends. In your case, you become Spanish residents.
Yeah.
So that income will have to be declared into your income tax, the Spanish income tax.
Yeah.
If non-resident clients rent their house, and one is Irish, the other one is British.
Yeah.
Important thing is your fiscal address. So if you're fiscally resident in the UK, you can be Irish, you can be German, you can be Belgian, you still pay 24% tax.
Gotcha.
Because you are resident in a third country.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. Because that's where your primary tax residency is. Okay, that makes sense. So I know quite a few people have mentioned to me, are you not worried about inheritance tax laws? Now, we've done a bit of homework on this and we've spoken to you, and what we're going to do, we've decided between us, we're going to do a bit of a video on the tax situation and inheritance laws and writing a will. But we won't cover it in this video per se. However, we will just point out that there are ways around the Spanish inheritance law.
Yes. So
And it's relatively straightforward, isn't it?
basically, when you leave a will, as a British, the advantage of having that British law is the fact that you can leave your assets to anyone you want. So it doesn't have to go to your children. And it sounds like I'm selfish, or it sounds like a selfish thing, but we've had cases where children were in a bad relationship with their parents.
Oh, right.
Children, let's say, some were drug addicts, or some people, according to their parents, didn't deserve anything, or the inheritance. So the British law fortunately says you can leave your assets to whomever you want.
Yeah.
But in Spain, it's not that. You must leave, or anything you own, a big part of it goes to your family, to your children. Sorry.
I mean, we'd still want to leave it to our kids just in case the kids are watching, like going, what the hell's Mum planning? Mum's got some like cat home lined up. I haven't, you're safe, kids. Right, so thank you very much, Mario, for talking us through this today. It's been really helpful having someone with such an in-depth knowledge. If you guys want to get in touch with Mario, I will put their details down below in the description. He's always open and friendly and very good at his job, so comes highly recommended from us.
Yes,
Thanks,
I'll be happy to assist. Thank you for having me here.
Oh, you're very welcome. He hasn't seen the house yet. He's had a good old nose around the garden. Do you like the garden?
I love the garden.
He's given me quite a bit of advice because my trees are dying a death. Gary's being stingy with the water, so we need to water the plants a bit more. They're all curling up, all the leaves.
Yeah, they need some watering, but they're doing well. They're not that bad.
It looks good. We're so happy with it. Thanks, Mario.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
That's it for us this week. Thanks for joining us. Hope you enjoyed that. Let us know if you've got any further questions about what we've been talking about. And also, if there's anything that's really burning in your mind about buying a house in Spain. Hopefully Gary's going to be better for the next vlog. Yeah, hopefully. Lots of love to you all. Thanks for watching. Take care. Ta-ra.